This is how you remind me of what I really am. This is how you remind me of what I really am. It's not like you to say sorry. I was waiting on a different story. And this time I'm mistaken for handing you a heart worth breaking. And I've been wrong.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be covering the exercises and routine that I used to make rapid progress in my leg development. Some people have very muscular calves simply from walking slightly on their toes constantly. This will be covered more later in the video, but for now, I will just say that the 3 people I have known who naturally do this all have very well-developed calf muscles. Leg training with bodyweight exercises is entirely possible and does not limit you just to bodyweight squats and other very easy exercises. People who think that you can't effectively train legs with calisthenics often don't realize all of the possibilities in terms of exercises. This video will cover all of your questions regarding leg training, and just like my previous videos, we'll cover intricate but important details that you will not find discussed on any of the other calisthenics channels. Let's get started. First, I would like to begin with an encouragement to not skip leg training. The only way to have stronger legs in 6 months is to begin training them now. Do you really want to be wearing pants all the time because you're insecure with your chicken legs? Don't do this and put in the hard work. Now, as we already had mentioned, you can have naturally strong legs, muscular looking legs, and if this is you, you might not actually need to train legs. However, if you have skinny legs, don't put it off anymore and go ahead and start taking the steps you need to take now. We will be covering exercises for the 4 main parts of your legs: the quad, hamstring, calf, and the front calf, which is also called the tibialis anterior. The bodyweight quad exercise that everyone likes to focus on is the pistol squat. However, I would not recommend these very much since they are a very awkward exercise, not that difficult, and can feel weird on the knees. Pistol squats are not necessarily a bad exercise, but there are just better quad exercises in my opinion. First, if you are just beginning your leg training, I would recommend a couple of weeks of limiting your quad training to 1 leg step-ups only. I did these for quads for around a month or so at first so that my fragile knees could be strengthened. This exercise allowed me to develop a base level of strength, strengthen my knee tendons and ligaments, and develop a better mind-muscle connection with this muscle. Starting slow is never a bad idea. This exercise helped in part to fix the knee issues I have been struggling with for a long time. Do not use knee pain as an excuse not to train legs. In reality, training legs in one form or another is the only thing that can actually fix knee issues. Natural leg extensions are a great quad exercise that can be made easier or more difficult very conveniently. To perform the exercise in its standard form, begin in this position, descend to this position, trying to keep your body as straight as possible, usually with your hands on your stomach, and use your quads to bring yourself back to the starting position. Unless you have your knees really wide like this, you can't go all the way down since the mechanics of the exercise will result in you falling back. As with all exercises, be sure to focus on the mind-muscle connection and on using the muscle, in this case your quads, during the move. To scale down the difficulty of this exercise, you can either descend less far, thus reducing the range of motion and the strength requirement, or simply elevate your feet in order to make the angle such that the exercise requires less strength to perform. The last quad exercise we need to cover is the sissy squat. Sissy squats are slightly harder than natural leg extensions in my opinion, and they're also great for developing quad muscles just as the natural leg extensions are. As a disclaimer, I would highly recommend beginning your bodyweight quad training with the 1 leg step-ups as we already covered, since they will be important for preparing your knees for exercises like this one that are pretty demanding on the knees. I used to have knee problems from the sissy squat when I first started, and that's actually why I temporarily switched over to the 1 leg step-ups instead. However, now I can perform sissy squats without an issue. For these, you begin standing up, descend in this manner while standing on the balls of your feet, usually holding your arms straight out for balance. You can also hold them above your head, but it's usually easier with them out, stopping before your knees hitting the ground and raising yourself back up. Maintaining your balance during this exercise is extremely difficult, and it might be worth using balance assistance in some form so that your issues balancing do not inhibit your usage of the exercise and your progression with it. To accomplish this, try and find some kind of setup where you can just use a single finger on each hand for assistance, so that way you know you're not cheating and pushing yourself off with your arms. Another quad exercise that looks interesting is the quad blaster. I saw this in this monster list of calisthenics leg exercises on the channel, Stefano Ravarino. Very good channel. I'll link the video below. As a disclaimer, I've never actually tried this exercise. I don't have a good setup for it. But if you do have a setup, then it might be worth trying to progress to this because it looks like a very difficult exercise for quads. For hamstrings, 2 main exercises must be covered. Also, I wanted to mention that you should not even be considering the glute ham raises or glute bridges that are shown in most calisthenics leg videos for either hamstring or glute development. While this stupid exercise is popular for some reason, it will not help you grow either your hamstrings or your glutes and can only make sense potentially if you're in physical therapy or recovering from a chronic injury or something like that. Otherwise, this exercise is really easy and is worthless. It's basically just you squeezing your muscles. First, the Nordic curl. This is the pinnacle of bodyweight hamstring strength and is incredibly difficult to perform. To do it, you must begin in this position, descend to the ground fighting gravity by using your hamstrings to try and lower yourself slowly, waiting until your upper stomach hits the ground, and then using your hamstring to pull yourself back up with a straight body back into the original position. You will experience significant discomfort in your knees if you do not have something under them, as the exercise forces you to drive them really hard into the ground. I would not recommend using a pillow since it seems to reduce the stability of the knees and of the exercise a little bit, and it'd be better to find an exercise mat or something else instead. That's worked better for me. Also, make sure that your inner knees are not what's hitting the ground. You want it to be the front of your knees. So try and use this form, because if it's your inner knees hitting the ground, then that's when you're starting to feel unstable and having issues. This exercise can definitely cause some knee discomfort if not performed properly, so be careful when trying to learn the movement and consider putting your feet closer together if you're having issues, because this can also help the problem. As with all calisthenics exercises, it takes some time to get a feel for the proper form of this exercise and to actually build up the motor pattern in your mind. The progressions to learn this exercise are hip hinges and then Nordic curls, in which you touch a progressively lower part of your body to the ground. For example, you can begin touching your chin to the ground, then your chest, etc., so on and so forth. I got some of these ideas from Dominic Sky's video on this exercise, which I'm going to link below because I think it's pretty helpful. Second, the natural leg curl. For these, you will either need rings or a bar of some sort to hold on to. Rings are much preferable, and potentially an object to elevate your feet on as well. You begin in this position, use your hamstrings to pull yourself to the end position as far as possible, and then return to the original position. It is really easy to cheat and not do full reps or not use your hamstrings properly during this exercise, so make sure and do these without your feet so far out that you can't pull all the way. This is the ending position. It's what you want to aim to be pulling for. Now, you can't necessarily do this if you're doing this on a bar instead of rings, but if you're on rings, this is what you're going to be shooting for. When I began training calves, I was very weak and could not do a one-leg calf raise. Now I can do them with 80 or so pounds for about 5 reps. To dramatically increase the size and strength of your calves as I did, I would recommend beginning with some basic calf raises before moving on to one-leg calf raises. I'm a fan of starting slow with calisthenics, and the whole point of doing basic calf raises, even if you're a little bit stronger than that, is to solidify the movement in your mind and try to master the motor pattern. This will definitely pay dividends later. At this point, you can do elevated calf raises and then elevated one-leg calf raises. Then you can add weight to the one-leg calf raises on the floor, and last, when you're using a good amount of weight doing that, you can do one-leg weighted calf raises with elevation. Calf raises, specifically one-leg calf raises, feel uncomfortable and weird if you go too low. Instead of doing one-leg raises on a surface that the floor is far from, where there's no floor near it, I prefer using partial elevation like this, so that way the motion is restricted and stopped by the ground at the bottom part of the rep. Here's a general flow of the exercises you're going to be using for your calf training progression. Normal calf raises, walking on tip toes. This is shown in the video right here. It should be pretty self-explanatory. This is a pretty good precursor for learning one-leg calf raises. Then elevated calf raises, then the one-leg calf raises, elevated one-leg calf raises next, second to last weighted one-leg raises, and last weighted one-leg calf raises with elevation. If you put your feet really far off, it really increases the difficulty, makes the exercise much harder and kind of awkward too. But whatever you pick, try and make sure you standardize it from workout to workout, so that way your results are tangible and quantifiable and you can progress over time in a measurable way. Lastly, the killer calf exercise that was referenced earlier in the video that no one really talks about is walking slightly on your toes constantly. There are a few different ways to do this. One is just walking straight on your toes. Other is kind of walking normally but with a little bounce at the end of each step and going down. You'll just have to figure out how you want to do this yourself, or you can kind of just do whatever feels comfortable. But this is definitely a good option for growing your calves faster than you would otherwise if you were just doing raises once a day or something like that.
This allows your calves to have constant time under tension, at least constant as long as you are walking around, and allows for much faster progression than you could experience otherwise. I'd highly recommend at least giving this a try. You might have some discomfort at first. Make sure you're definitely training the front of your calves, because otherwise you're going to have a huge imbalance. Make sure you're always stretching your calves each day, stretching your ankles and so on and so forth. But if you're doing all of your due diligence in these ways, then I definitely think this could be a good option for rapidly speeding up your calf progression.
Most people fail to train the front part of their calf, which is called the tibialis anterior. Don't even think about making this mistake. This is literally the equivalent of training biceps but not triceps, or the other way around. The imbalance that will result from only training your back calves, as most people do, will be bad for your knees. The two main exercises for the front calf are reverse calf raises and one-leg calf raises. Reverse calf raises are performed like so, and by the nature of the exercise, you kind of have to use elevation. It's hard to do them on the floor, where you focus on pulling your toes up with your front calf, your front ankle, however you want to think about it. And then the one-leg ones are the same thing, but with one leg. If you try this exercise, it'll make sense. It's kind of hard to see how it works your front lower leg just by watching this video, so make sure you actually try it out yourself and you'll see what I mean. Here is a recommended training routine for each muscle based on your current level. As with all exercises, the principles that I teach in my other videos still apply. You want to be using low reps and not going to failure ever, because if you do that, you're going to be sore, and in my opinion, it's going to shortchange your progress. Use good form always, and make sure you are focusing on using the necessary muscles. If you train consistently, you train with very high frequency, you'll be able to make rapid progress. Thank you all for watching. I really hope you found the video helpful. Please let me know in the comments, what are some video ideas you guys would like to see in the future? Maybe stretching, rehab, injury prevention, wrist mobility, some kinds of tutorials. Let me know what would be useful for you guys, and vote up other comments that have ideas that you would like to see as well. Thank you all for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your calisthenics journey.